Chris, what's up? Happy birthday to you.
Not my birthday.
Anyway, Chris, big action movie for you tonight. Classic. A gift for you, buddy. Guess who the star is?
Oh, man. Bruce Lee.
No. I mean, he's the greatest of all time. It's not quite that. Guess again.
Oh, okay. Maybe Stallone? Are you thinking Stallone?
Chris, trash movie Bonanza doesn't have the budget for that. So,
right.
Go again.
Right. Trash movie Bonanza. Cynthia Rothrock.
I love her, but that's actually a good idea. It's not Cynthia. Go again, please.
Not Cynthia. Jean-Claude Van Damme, like probably playing twins, right?
Ooh. Wow, another great one. Chris, let me just cut to the chase and say,
yeah.
Think, orange chest hair and the acting
Chuck Norris
of a slightly damp sponge.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
You impressed me. You got it, Chucky Norris.
Good idea.
You ready for some shit to blow up?
What else is going to happen in a Chuck Norris movie? Jamie, hit it.
Trash Movie Bonanza with your hosts, Jim and Chris.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trash Movie Bonanza, a show where two friends take a look at schlock cinema, cult, sometimes good, sometimes bad. I'm one half of your hosts. I'm Chris, the host of Comic Tropes, and with me, as always, is...
My name's Jimmy Jams, and this one is so stupid, Chris, that...
so stupid.
What can we say? I had the idea of Chuck Norris passed away. Should we do like a tribute?
Let's do it.
Show to him. And then, recommended our movie, Invasion USA. Jamie, if you don't mind showing the poster. I haven't seen this one in a really long time, man.
I don't think I've ever seen this one, actually. I thought I had, but okay. I was thinking of, because he did a lot of Canon films.
Yes.
I must have seen one or two of the Missing in Action movies, and I think Lone Wolf McQuade.
Yeah.
Which is probably, he doesn't really have a great movie, just to be clear. But maybe Lone Wolf McQuade is his most iconic, because it's definitely what his TV show Walker, Texas Ranger was riffing on. Wow.
Yes. Do you think most people know Chuck Norris in the most mainstream way from Walker, Texas Ranger?
I think absolutely. Yeah. I think it was his, because that was I feel like it went the entire length of the 90s. I'm pretty sure. I'll be honest, I never really watched that show either. I know that show best from the clips Conan O'Brien would play live on air as just a gag.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
And there was I remember the most famous one was it Haley Joel Osment?
Haley Joel Osment.
I have AIDS or whatever.
It's Walker told me I have AIDS.
Yes.
There's another really good one though, where Chuck is just by himself walking around in the woods. He kneels down, feels the soil, smells it, tastes it. He goes, "A plane crashed here." Wait, what?
He's such a bizarre and interesting character, because watching this movie, man, I realized in the 80s, Stallone and Schwarzenegger were movie stars, making these big budget action movies. They had charisma. The movies were ridiculous and over the top. Chuck Norris really isn't a movie star.
No, it's weird. He made money on sort of these low budget things, but we're talking the movie had a $5 million budget and it made 13 or 17 million, that kind of a thing, where the studios were cool, we're making a profit.
Yeah. And his first thing for Canon did well enough that it got him a 6-picture deal with Canon. Yeah. And then they just kept making this stuff. And for me, one of the most notable things about Invasion USA is it's directed by Joseph Zito, who did Friday the 13th Part 4, one of our favorites.
One of our favorites. We still haven't reviewed that one yet, but pretty soon we will, I'm sure. I would argue probably my favorite Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
So I sort of went into this getting a little hyped, going, he did pull off one of the best Friday the 13th. I would say this movie is entertaining, but absolutely stupid. Like there's almost no real plot or structure to this thing.
Yeah.
There's no character arc. There's certainly no character arc because Chuck Norris he never rises or falls below a certain level. He's just like, time to die. And that is he never gets worried. He never gets happy. He never gets anything.
Yeah. There's no sense of urgency with him. And it's ironic because Richard Lynch as the main bad guy is way more interesting as a character. I mean, I like that too. It's interesting because like his character is scared of Matt Hunter, the Chuck Norris character. And it gives him just a slight bit of depth where Chuck Norris has no depth at all.
He really doesn't have anything. He's a redneck. I mean, we waste like the first 20 minutes. It doesn't move the story forward at all with all these different scenes. But Chuck Norris is just like wrestling gators and like riding swamp boats and just like having fun.
Yeah.
And he's doing it all in denim. He's like in this Canadian tuxedo. And I was just like, oh my God, the crotch rot and the mud butt, like in this humidity. This is not the clothes for this environment. It just looks awful.
Yeah. It's so funny. He's eating gumbo and hanging out.
He's got a pet armadillo.
Wow.
That he just abandons now that I think of it. So at a certain point, he just leaves. And he leaves the armadillo limping away.
It's crazy.
Richard Lynch always played a bad guy because he's got that kind of a face. And you've probably like seen a clip by now. Jamie's probably shared a clip of who Richard Lynch is. He's definitely a Temu Rutger Hauer, but I kind of like the dude. He was in a schlock movie I really enjoyed, the series Trancers. He was the bad guy in Trancers too. You ever watch those?
I think I saw the first one, but not the second one.
There were 5.
Oh, shit.
Well, there were 5 with Tim Thomerson, and then I think they made like another with some other person. But yeah, they made a lot.
Dude, you know, Richard Lynch, really unique look, and I did some deep diving on him, and the look of his face, he is scarred from in the 60s. He was tripping on LSD and accidentally lit himself on fire and survived, obviously. But if you look at his face, there's damage.
Yeah. My wife was watching with me, as she often does, and she goes, is that like makeup because we've got high def now? And I go, no, Richard Lynch like was burned. He like that's it just gives him just a slightly different look. It's not the most noticeable like when it's a medium shot or anything like that, but up close you definitely see that like something happened there. Yeah. Like, and it's across his neck. Yeah, it's kind of grisly.
It gives him some character, and for you guys watching that haven't seen this movie, I just want to say real quick, the plot of this movie is that terrorists under the leadership of Richard Lynch get to the shores of Miami and are invading America. They're going to take over America. Somehow.
What is their goal? Never stated, really. Never stated. They're causing chaos, but they also intentionally never say like it's Russia or it's Cuba or anything else. It's Libya, like all these places in the 80s that were like the big bads. The villain's name is Mikhail Rostov, right? I think it was. Yeah, Rostov. So we're like meant to think, okay, it's Russia. But they never say Russia is invading or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he's got this motley crew. There's white guys, black guys, Hispanic guys. Oh, even Asian guys, now that I think of it.
Yes.
So are they mercenaries? In which case, I don't know how they're going to get paid. Or are they just all the bad guys decided to work together? It doesn't make sense. It's never explained or addressed.
And it's funny because there's There's a plot device early on where when the terrorists get to Miami, Richard Lynch is organizing them, and there's a quick scene of them all going into these big trucks.
Yeah. A lot of extras.
And someone yells out like, Las Vegas, Chicago. So the idea is 50 to maybe 75 terrorists are going into a truck. That truck is going to a particular city, and these terrorists are supposed to take over that city.
And Jim, they like late in the movie. It's so preposterous because it's a lot of people for extras in a low budget movie. You're seeing
that's true.
Maybe a couple hundred guys running around on the beach and getting in these trucks. But it's still only a couple hundred guys. And later in the movie, real late in the movie, there's a news broadcast, and they're like,
governors of all 50 states and high-ranking military personnel are gathering here for an emergency meeting that could very well determine the future of democracy in this country. The purpose of the conference is to create an effective plan to turn back the tide of terror sweeping the nation.
This is happening all over the country. We only focus on what's happening in Miami with Chuck Norris. Yep. But we're told that these guys are taking over the country like 2 to 20 at a time.
Yeah.
It wants to be Red Dawn. It came out like a year after Red Dawn.
Yeah.
But it makes Red Dawn look so much more clever and sensible. Red Dawn's a fine enough movie for what it is.
Yeah. And Red Dawn is a fun, silly movie, but at least it has a bit more
Wolverines
gravitas to it or something.
It does, doesn't it? It feels like Chuck Norris has what I call wrestler brain. And that's where people in the wrestling industry are always like, oh, I got to win as many matches as possible. Like that's how my career elevates. And that's what I feel like certain actors are like. They're like, I can't take too many punches. Like I have to win.
Completely.
Because Chuck Norris, let's be clear, I don't think anybody gets a single punch in on him in the whole movie.
Yeah.
He never gets he gets attacked and he has to dive for cover maybe, but that's it.
Yes. Yeah.
He has no problem in this movie.
It's funny.
We should explain why he's even part of this movie, I guess. After Richard Lynch's people start attacking America, a CIA handler is like, you got to come back. You got to come back to the company.
The company really needs you this time.
I've heard that story before. Give it to one of the regular agents.
Well, this one is special. We believe Rostov is in the country.
So it implies he's some sort of top-level CIA guy. Who's retired, which is such an 80s trope, isn't it?
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like America would have Rambo and it would have, this guy. And it's like, don't let them retire if they're the only ones that can get something done.
Yeah. Yeah. He's retired, Chris, but he's easily found. The CIA
he's
guy,
easily found,
knows where he lives. And, Chuck's just like, oh, and the scene, there's a couple Joseph Zito horror moments in this movie where when the CIA guy shows up at Chuck Norris's house in the swamp, he walks in the house, it's dark, it's empty. Chuck just shows up out of nowhere and grabs him.
Puts him in a headlock,
and it's kind of like, hey, don't even think about it. I'm not coming back to work for you guys. And then about 10 minutes later, Chris, Chuck Norris meets up with him again and is eating a hot dog at a hot dog stand. And Chuck Norris is like, I am coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, Jim. It's like in a movie, the hero is supposed to resist the call to action, but you got to give him a reason. And so Richard Lynch has attacked and he's Chuck Norris's old enemy from his Cold War CIA days. But Chuck Norris is like, no, you guys, let me go. It's not my responsibility. And it's so he's willing to put the country at risk over something so petty. until Richard Lynch comes to kill him and they shoot supposedly his friend. They've had like maybe one word of dialogue together.
Right.
And so he's like, okay, I'll come back and do it. And it's like, that's not very patriotic or heroic.
They blow up his house. They blow up Chuck Norris's house.
They do. And it's cool. I'll say the best part of this movie are the explosions and the stunts.
Yeah.
No question.
Hands down. Guys, they blow some shit up in this movie for sure. This is all practical. This is not CGI. This is the 80s. And they're using massive amounts of explosives in this movie.
That's something. Let's talk about that, actually. The explosives. Because there's several things we can talk about with explosives. Once Richard Lynch's people decide to start attacking, the first thing they do, they go into a suburban neighborhood with rocket launchers. And legit, it's not models. They legit blow up 5, 6, 7 houses.
Yeah.
Huge explosions. And did you read the behind the scenes, like how they were able to do that?
That neighborhood was going to be demoed anyway for like an airport.
An airport.
Runway,
they were extending an airport. Apparently it was nearby. So they had permission to blow up a whole neighborhood.
Yes. Yes.
It's insane. It's also funny because it sets the scene to make us care about the people that are there, which they then just mercilessly kill all of. They're having Christmas. This is a Christmas movie.
It's Christmas time, guys.
There's no theme of Christmas. It's just every once in a while in the background, there's some Christmas decor. You're like, what?
Yeah.
So they blew that up. There was a building in the finale we'll get to that they were also allowed to demolish for some reason. And and there's a stunt that goes really wrong. But we could go in chronological order, and we'll get. So I'll leave that as a teaser. We'll put a pin in that, folks. There's a stunt in this that's on camera. They still put it in the camera that went very wrong. The explosion was too big,
dude. And while I did want to point this out because I didn't notice this before until this viewing, one of the funny things, I don't know if this is like Golan and Globus from Canon, this was their idea, but all the attacks, all the big explosions, all the stuff are on such American ideals. Like they blow up the safe suburbs. It's Christmas time. They attack people at a mall. Very American. There's a church scene where a church almost gets blown up, but Chuck Norris comes in and saves the day. There's a scene with innocent American school kids on a bus that almost gets blown. It very comical. It's almost like if this was a spoof movie, there'd be a scene where the terrorists are attacking a literal apple pie or something. You know, just one
apple pie at a nursing home or something.
Yeah. Or an apple pie factory. You know?
Actually, I'm surprised they didn't go after a hospital because you're right. Anywhere that you would consider safe, they just consecutively have scenes, folks. It's not like it builds to anything or there's a plan. We just get scene at all these American institutions where you're like, well, that's comically evil to bomb a church. Or why would you bomb a school bus? What advantage is there?
Yeah.
Oh, and a block party, a Latino block party.
And a Latino dance, like a salsa dance, a mixer or something. Which
they just keep going after places where people gather just to be mean. They're just mean. You know what I liked? I'll talk about it quick, but our introduction to the rivalry between Chuck Norris's Matt Hunter, I want to say, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep.
Matt Hunter and Mikhail Rostov is actually, we find out, a dream or a nightmare, because you said the guy is afraid of the hero.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious. Mikhail Rostov is maybe this Russian KGB guy that's going to assassinate a diplomat. And does he use a sniper rifle? No, he starts to pull out a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
I was just how does that make sense? That seems because you're well, it could create a lot of damage. It's but if it goes slightly astray or something, you can't load another rocket. Whereas with a sniper rifle, maybe you miss once, people are confused, you get a second shot, that kind of a thing, right? It's just hilarious that he's using this rocket launcher. And then Chuck Norris, as with all of this movie, no effort at all, just walks up to him and like puts a gun to his head.
Yeah.
And he says his iconic catchphrase that he says about 5 times in this movie.
Not this time, Rostov. It's time to die.
Time to die.
With about as much emotion.
Yeah.
You might have added a little.
It's time to die. Like it's, you know what's funny, man? Watching this, I had an idea of like, did any time during the filming, did Joseph Zito, was he tempted to just be like, go up to Chuck in between takes and be like, Chuck, baby, you listen, we love you. We love what you're doing. We love the jeans. We love the beard. Do you maybe want to like act a little bit? Do you want to emote a little? And Chuck Norris is just like, no. there's no anything. It's just, I mean, we've already said all this, but it's just funny that it's like his decision making is, I know he's playing the stoic, silent badass, like that is in his mind what the character is. I get it, but it translates to nothing. It's just so
it's amazing
weird.
how you think of like Stallone and Schwarzenegger as kind of over the top in a lot of these 80s movies, but boy, did they have a lot more charisma. They had some more range, especially you watch something like the first Rocky. There's absolutely range there. Yeah. You know, and Schwarzenegger was always pushing himself. Like each movie, he did something a little more. You know, he stayed within his zone, but he kept doing more. And he had funny one-liners. So like there was a charisma there.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris has time to die. He says that like a lot throughout the movie. And then I think there's one other scene where like some guys come like they're gonna attack him and he goes,
Come back in here. I'm gonna hit you with so many rights, you're gonna beg for a left.
Yes.
That's like his little one-liner.
You know, that one's so stupid. It's actually not a bad line.
No,
it made me chuckle. But and also, man, they introduce this journalist character, McGuire, this girl.
Oh, I didn't even catch her name. That's amazing.
Who Chuck Norris originally wanted Whoopi Goldberg to play that part. Yep. And he fought for Whoopi, and for some reason Joseph Zito said no, and it caused this rift between Norris and the director, Zito. Yep. But the girl who plays a journalist, she's whatever, but they kind of attempt to have a thing of charisma between Chuck Norris and the journalist, but even that doesn't work. It isn't.
And she eventually just sort of goes away in the final act. She just sort of disappears.
And I was going to say, it's not even really a romantic thing. It's just them playing off each other and her calling him cowboy.
Yeah, it's like banter, but it doesn't elevate to them getting to know each other, and she's not held a hostage. So it's really... Yeah. But the other weird thing is, you just said she's a journalist. There are several times in this movie where we'll cut to like a TV and a news broadcaster is like, you know, the villain is Mikhail Rostov, or, you know, the FBI thinks that the person creating this problem is Chuck Norris's character. And I was like, well, those are all things that the reporter could have done and had a little more to do in the movie.
Yes.
She's just there.
She's just there. And, dude, one thing I wanted to mention, because we are jumping all over the place, but in the beginning of the movie, one incredible scene that I did want to call out because it's so canon.
Yeah.
When Richard Lynch walks into the drug dealer's spot.
Yeah.
With a pleasure doing business with you. The pleasure is all mine.
and is selling him coke, and the drug dealer's a total scumbag and has this like skeezy girl in there, and the girl starts snorting the coke. The drug dealer gets up and it looks like he's going to pull a gun on Richard Lynch. Richard Lynch easily takes the gun from him, aims it down his pants, shoots him in the groin, smashes the girl's head onto the table. The coke straw goes, I guess, into her brain, and then throws her out the window. And it's like, okay, now we got a Canon movie. Now we're cooking. Now we got an 80s Canon flick. Okay.
And behind the scenes, folks, there's this whole, like, it takes like 20 minutes of Richard Lynch pretending to be the Coast Guard to steal the cocaine from Cuban refugees. Apparently they had cocaine in their boat for some reason.
Yeah.
And then selling it to this guy for weapons. But none of that is necessary. Like, it's just, none of that is necessary. But that one scene is pretty badass. It's crazy how much violence he perpetrates in a second. He also shoots like 2 guards through the wall in that moment. It's very quick, but it's so crazy. It's so crazy when he throws the woman out the window. And I didn't see that coming, because the drug kingpin is this actor named Billy Drago, who also tends to play villains in B movies. So I really thought that he was going to be like a henchman or a number 2 or something.
Yeah.
But he just gets shot in the dick and taken right out.
Yes.
He's like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that. I thought that he was going to be part of the movie.
But it's my point is, again, it's like all the Richard Lynch stuff is more interesting and more kind of, it draws your attention more when he's on screen.
There's conflict within him because he's like scared and unhinged, but at least he wants something. Whereas like Chuck Norris, I guess, is motivated because his friend got shot, right? But we get to a point where Chuck Norris has 3 to 4 scenes in a row where he just shows up wherever the bad guys are doing their terrorist thing and takes them out with no trouble. It's comedic, like how it happens like 3 times in a row.
Yeah. It's
no detective work, no effort, no fight. He just shows up and kills people.
Yeah. This segues into one of my things of like repetition is a huge part of this movie, because one of the tropes that keeps repeating over and over from scene to scene is the terrorists disguise themselves as like the cops or the military or something. And they show up somewhere, a Latino dance or a neighborhood, and they just start murdering innocent people. And,
it's dark.
The Mexican dance scene, dude, I thought was so random because just two fake cops that are terrorists show up, start shooting innocent people, and then they leave. And then a second later, the real cops show up, just 2 again in one squad car. And then the community, the Mexican people, decide to grab bricks and start throwing them at the cops, and are like, fuck off, get out of here. And it's like, why didn't you guys attack the first round of cops that were the actual terror?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I agree with you. And I think that their goal was, okay, these terrorists are trying to make us not trust the police or the guards, so that like even the people, it's never, it needs to be spelled out a little more, but I think we can kind of figure out that that's part of their goal, is to not trust authority. Because I think that there's a scene where Mikhail Rostov is at a bar with his sort of very Russian bald number 2, and he's like,
America has not been invaded by a foreign enemy in nearly 200 years. Look at them, Nico. Soft, spineless decadents. They don't even understand the nature of their own freedom, or how we could use it against them. They are their own worst enemy, but they don't know it.
I think that was legit Chuck Norris and his younger brother that wrote this movie or rewrote it. I think that was legit Chuck Norris's fear. He like legit thought if we're not careful, Russia's absolutely really going to invade us, and we're not going to be ready for it.
It's a possibility. Boy, people were paranoid during the Cold War.
They are, but it's like a better movie like Red Dawn really explains how it happened. It was like Russia decided to ship all these troops to Cuba, which was close enough that then they could airdrop soldiers throughout the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
In our movie, we were talking how they invade on a Miami beach. And it's like, how did all these ships that we see hit the shore, how did they get past the Coast Guard? Like, there's got to be some sort of explanation, but there isn't. All that they do is there's a couple making out on the beach, and they just kill them.
Yeah.
A lot of innocent people died in this movie. Like, a lot.
Yeah. And you know, to back up what you said earlier too, there is a attempt at a exposition scene with the two main detectives in this movie,
the FBI,
where one of the cops is like, their goal, what's happening across America, their goal is the terrorists are causing chaos and destruction and mistrust for authority with the American citizens and turning people against each other and against cops. And it's like, okay, we get that. But again, it's like, there's like 50 guys in each city. How is this even possible? I don't know.
And in a way, it's like, it's not possible because every time we're actually shown them doing something, they kill some innocent people. And then pretty soon Chuck Norris starts showing up. The beach, no. And then the one we already talked about, like the Latin party, no. Mm-hmm. But then they go to the mall.
Oh God, the mall scene
sequence is pretty big, where they're just going to drop bombs in the mall.
Yeah,
which they do actually.
Yeah,
except then Chuck Norris just drives into the mall in his 4x4.
He's causing as much destruction as the bombs. He's causing as much destruction, dude, as the bombs. Like
that's true. He's not killing any innocent people. He's good enough a driver that he's like driving through the mall, like smashing through walls, but he's not driving over anybody somehow.
Yeah. The mall scene is legit. I mean, they did definitely spend some money on the mall scene. Like it's pretty incredible and over the top.
The mall was like going through a reconstruction. I just remembered. And so they were allowed to just sort of set fake stuff up and destroy it in there.
Yeah.
I think what's funny is there's two terrorists, I guess, that sort of survive the initial Chuck Norris driving rampage. And they get in a showroom car that's in the mall. Which I don't know if malls even bother to do now because malls are so dead. But this was the 80s and malls were crowded and popular. And there's like a Nissan Frontier on display that the bad guys get in. It's got keys. It's gassed up. It's ready to go.
It's ready.
I loved this action sequence because of how over the top it is. The driver grabs a random woman and like holds her outside the window.
Yes.
And Chuck Norris chases after him in the reporter's car because he just bumps. He abandons his 4x4 for some reason. I think he got out to shoot some people.
Yeah,
and he jumps in the reporter's convertible with her and chases them. And they're like, doing jumps over hills and stuff. And the guy's just holding this poor woman by the side for 5 to 10 minutes. It's crazy.
It's wild. Well, obviously a stunt person, that goes without saying, but it's still
the arm strength though.
This is all on camera. This is all happening. That thing, man, with Chuck commandeering the reporter's car, like that's very Commando to me. I think Schwarzenegger did that with Ray Don Chong
in Commando.
It's very it's like, okay, we're out of the mall, and that was literally a mall as well in that movie. Guys, there's so many 80s tropes going on here. It's hard to keep track of. And also, Chris, one of the signature things of this movie, and it's on the poster as well, is Chuck Norris rocking the double Uzis that are strapped onto him with like the gun holsters. But that was kind of like the signature look, the denim and then the double Uzis with him just spraying, bad guys with bullets. And the Uzis, though, they're very very dainty. They're very like
they are a little
like,
small. They are. It's fairly iconic because I don't think we'd really seen dual wielding in too many movies before then. You know what I mean? Like as soon as Chow Yun-fat did it in Hard Boiled and The Killer, it was everywhere because of how good it looked. But I would say that was a small bit of an innovation. I'll give them a little bit of credit for how it looked. You're right that they're small, but the Uzi was so 80s. Such an 80s.
Oh my God.
It doesn't make a lot of sense since he's specifically a CIA guy. He would have been trained on NATO weapons, not an Uzi, but whatever. That's what he's got. They did it because to them it looked cool.
It looked cool. It was like when Rambo had the exploding arrows,
in Rambo 3.
Like that hadn't been seen before, I don't think. Where it's like, dude, the arrowhead is a detonator. This is badass. Like this is crazy. So,
you know what's interesting that you know we're sort of talking about is that Chuck Norris drives and he shoots. In real life, of course, he got these opportunities because he's a karate guy. He was like a legit, champion, and he studied lots of different martial arts. He's not really portrayed as a martial artist in this movie. I think he might do like a single kick. There's like a single kick towards the end, but it's all shooting, which I feel like is sort of a miss this early in his career to not show off some of those skills.
I agree with that. And it's because, man, one of his earliest performances, Chuck Norris fights Bruce Lee. And
he's
the Big
Way
Boss?
of the Dragon, I think.
Way of the Dragon? Okay. But
in the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah. And him as the silent guy, stoic guy in that movie works great because he's just this mysterious guy who shows up to fight Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee, of course, takes him out. But there's a legitimacy to that. But that same character as the leading man of a movie, where we just don't connect with that.
Time to die. Way of the Dragon. The part of that fight that I like the most is when Bruce Lee legit just grabs his chest hair and rips it out. I was like, that's not ignoring what the reality of the scene is. That's like, if you were fighting for your life, maybe you do something crazy like that, and it hurts him.
That orange chest hair.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's you look at this and you're like, there's cool stuff with all the explosions and the crazy stunts they're doing, and the only thing is the story doesn't ever explain what the bad guy exactly wants, and the good guy has no personality really. He's so incredibly effective. He's so effective at everything.
Dude, one thing that made me laugh out loud is the scene where some of the terrorists disguise themselves as the military and they pull Chuck Norris over, and Chuck Norris knows they're terrorists because the main army guy is Asian. I'm interpreting it this way. And Chuck Norris is like, ain't no way an Asian guy is part of the white man's American army. And the Asian guy's like, you got proof of ID? And Chuck Norris is like, yeah. And he pulls out a gun from his seat and blows him away. But it's just such a like odd and bizarre, I guess, politically incorrect thing of like, I know that these guys aren't.
Well,
American
I think that
Army.
that's us trying to assign meaning when the movie just didn't give us any, because any other movie would have had him like look down and see that he doesn't have regulation boots, or he has his badge in like the wrong place or something he would know from like his military past, maybe. No, he just looks at them. We've got no reason, like as an audience, to suspect that they're terrorists. We haven't seen them reporting to Rostov or anything like that.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris just shoots them and he's like, they were terrorists.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't.
It's so lazy though. But it's also like, hey, we have to move this along. We have an hour and a half. We got to move this along. We need as many scenes as Chuck, shooting people. And also, man, we reviewed Death Wish 3.
Yeah.
So many parallels to Death Wish 3 in this movie, including, I don't want to jump ahead, we'll get to it, but it's the same ending as Death Wish 3.
The exact same.
We'll talk about it when we get there, but wow, Canon really had a formula, You know?
They did. And there's a lot of stuff with like Chuck Norris just sort of pulling a grenade out of nowhere and like he tortures some guy for information and puts a grenade in his hand and then like walks away. Although that guy kind of reasonably just tosses it out the window and it like comically blows up some guy's nice car. But I was also like, what did he expect the bad guy to? He's like, if you survive this, tell Mikhail I'm coming for him. And I'm like, why wouldn't he survive that? Like you did nothing to prevent him from throwing that grenade away.
If you live through this, tell Rostov it's time to die.
Yeah, it's.
And then later he tosses the grenade into the truck from the mall, and we get a good explosion.
Oh yes, of course.
So he's got grenades.
Dude, they're. I mean, I'll give the stunt team full props. Like, there's some insane, amazing stunts and cars flying, cars blowing up, shit going crazy. One little twist they try and add to the movie, one little thing that happens, Chuck Norris eventually gets apprehended by the police that don't know he's government undercover.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he's in the hotel room and he's hanging out watching TV in his bed and the cops break into his room. He does not flinch. He's just calm.
He's ready for them.
Cold. Chuck Norris is like, I know what this is.
Well, there was a reason for that though.
Yeah.
That's explained by the end. Did you pick up on that? That was Chuck Norris's plan.
Oh, so that he could have that moment where he's on TV, like warning. I'm just gonna call him Richard Lynch because I can't remember his name. But yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the media?
Yeah. Nico was easy. Now it's your turn. One night you're gonna close your eyes, and when they open, I'll be there. It'll be time to die.
That's what it was. It was to lure Lynch out, right. I think, and surprised him that he wasn't locked up. Because he did tell the CIA guy something like, here's my plan. It doesn't tell him what the plan is, just says, here's my plan. And the CIA is like, no one will go for this. So I think that the idea was, allow me to be arrested so that I can, lure him out. Again, they don't explain that very well, but I think you can intuit that was his plan.
Yeah.
I think. Let's talk a little bit about, just real quick, like his crazy shenanigans. We talked about the mall, and then he goes to the church.
Yes.
Church is my second favorite, like with the school bus being my favorite, but this church is kind of funny because the bad guys are just planning to blow up a church that everybody's like having Christmas at.
And guys, mass is in full service. These are innocent Americans praying to Jesus. Mass is in full service. How dare these terrorists show up at this sacred time?
It's just rude. It's just rude.
God damn it.
How dare you? When they try to flip the switch to make the bomb go off, Chuck Norris just appears on the roof and just goes, it won't work. Now it will. And he tosses it on them and blows them up.
Go on.
Didn't work, huh? Now it will.
Yes.
Just knows where they are.
Yeah.
And easily beats them. A bunch of stuff has happened off camera that we don't see. This dude is beyond Batman.
I was just going to say, Chuck Norris is basically Batman and maybe the Terminator all in one.
The Terminator, because he has no problem taking people out. Yeah. There's actually quickly a supermarket scene after that. Remember, that's another safe place. And food is being rationed because terror across America is so crazy.
Yeah.
Even though
there's a guy out front. He's like, we ain't got no deli meat right now. We ain't got no chicken strips or whatever.
And that scene's just there.
Chris, Americans are panicking over this. People are like, no deli meat.
I need my bologna. I need my bologna. It's been like one day. There's been one day of terrorism, and they're like, we ain't got nothing. It's legit been one day. And that scene is just there so that the number 2 guy, the bald Russian guy, can be there to potentially take a hostage. Chuck Norris just drives up and shoots him. The end. It's such a brief scene for like taking out the number 2 henchman.
It's wild, man. You know what's funny, man, is like these quick scenes, and I will give the movie this much credit. You mentioned it in the beginning of the show, the amount of like extras and the amount of setup for some of these scenes is really impressive when you know it's all practical. And it's like, okay, these are all extras. There's all these vehicles showing up. At the end of the movie, we have like all these tanks and military guys. And so I do give the movie credit for that. Like you can see where the budget is on screen in those instances, you know?
They stretched the budget because, like I said, they found things that were ready to be demolished that they were allowed to blow up. They got the cooperation of the Georgia National Guard to show up, and there's tons of tanks and troops.
Yes, yeah.
But they stretched their money big time with this.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'd say it's so scatterbrained paced that it isn't a fully exciting movie. It's intermittently entertaining.
Yeah.
But it just keeps resetting because we do like mall, we do church, we do supermarket, and then right after that, the school bus. Like, what is this? What does a terrorist gain by putting a bomb on a school bus full of children? I mean, that's just so comically evil.
Yeah, yeah. And their goals are so singular. It's like, so just one school bus? You're gonna like, if you're a terrorist, wouldn't you go for the biggest, the most amount of people in one fell swoop? Like you would, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I just mean in the fictional world of this movie, these guys are really aiming small in certain circumstances.
Which is why it's funny that like we hear that it's happening all over the country and that America's dealing with like this terror attack. Because you're right. Like everything we see are these little attacks in Miami. And every time in a row that they're doing this, Chuck Norris just shows up and foils it.
Yes.
We never see Chuck Norris going like, well, they took these resources. That's why I think that they'll be at, the school in, East Dover. He doesn't, he just shows up like Batman.
Right.
Including in this scene where the school bus is on the highway with a bomb attached to the side of it. Chuck Norris drives up out of nowhere, takes it off, and puts it in the terrorist car. It turns into Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. And guess what, guys? Those terrorists blow up.
They do blow up. We do get a badass explosion. I would just say that like all those little scenes in a row, I kind of enjoyed for what they were, but it means that now we're getting to the finale. This is like, after that is when Matt gets arrested in his hotel room. And the whole final sequence is very long, with lots of explosions and lots of shooting. And personally, I kind of got bored in the final act compared to everything else.
Yeah,
I kind of enjoyed the rest of the movie more than the final act.
Yeah, I agree. You start thinking like, when is this going to be over? Like, is he going to, like, what's going on?
Because it's like one guy. And but we get all the Chuck Zito, that's a biker. I want to say Joseph Zito definitely wants to build tension with each of these scenes that he sets up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would have had more tension if there were some supporting characters, for instance, the reporter that could have been in danger. And she's just not, because she's not in the finale at all.
Yeah. Dude, one thing, you bringing that up, one thing I did see in the behind the scenes was people that worked on the movie that were like, we did have to cut some things from the movie. Like we did have some like, you know, subplots and B stories in the movie with other characters. And me watching this, I'm like, what subplots would be like more in depth on the cops or the reporter? Like who cares about these characters? Maybe that would have worked. I don't know. But really our attention is on the main character, right? And he's just not that interesting. Like you would think
he's not anything,
you know, make us relate more to our protagonist. And it just, because the end of the movie is on the ground, on the streets. It's the military versus the terrorists in the big building. It's Chuck Norris by himself. I don't know. Is that like the UN in Miami or something?
I think it's where they think Chuck Norris is locked up.
Is it a government building? I don't know.
Some sort of government building that's empty. So
it's completely empty, and Chuck is allowed to slowly and confidently walk through the cubicles and just shoot and murder terrorists until we get him and Richard Lynch having their, you know, final battle together. But it's kind of anticlimactic in a way where you would think Chuck, the hero, would contribute more to the overall picture of like just ending the terrorists, destroying the terrorists. And he doesn't.
I think it's meant to be like a surprise, he's not in jail. He was waiting for these terrorists because he just sort of shows up on the building with, I want to say another rocket launcher and blows up the helicopter first.
Yes,
right?
That does happen.
There's a lot of rocket launchers in this movie, folks. There are legit a lot of, I don't think there's any movie that has ever had anywhere close to this many rocket launchers when you factor in the suburban scene and stuff. This should be Rocket Launcher the movie. Rocket Launcher USA.
The budget for just bazookas and rocket launchers alone, it's unbelievable for this movie.
Since we're not like, there's not a whole lot to say about the finale other than that it goes on long. I will say that right before that, there's a scene where terrorists attack police headquarters for some reason. I'm not 100% sure where. And did you already hear about like the behind the scenes on this stunt that happened there?
Oh, this is the gnarliest thing in the movie.
This is the craziest part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. Please explain. We'll show it, obviously.
It's sort of like a like the cop's auto garage. Mm-hmm. And there's three cops. There's one under a truck working. There's one that's sort of going between a desk and that guy that's working. And there's a guy at a desk. And the guy at the desk is actually a stuntman in real life. And what they do is the terrorists blow up the garage door, which is like, you know, we'll say that, you know, I'm the guy at the desk, and down there, maybe 50 or 100 feet is the garage door. And we get a shot from behind the guy, the stuntman at his desk, and the door blows up. And this guy gets fucking rocked on camera.
There you go. All right.
Yes.
It's like, it's so funny too, because they probably could have used a dummy since it's behind him.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. It's a real guy. It's definitely a real person.
The explosion is so fucking big for like a person that close. He gets like hit with shrapnel and like knocked right out of frame in like a second.
Yes.
And in real life, it like broke his forearm and lacerated his scalp. And he sued the company because it was like so much bigger than what they told him it would be.
Yeah. Dude, I was going to say he's so lucky he lived, because when you watch the stunt, it's like, did that guy die?
Dude, I have seen 80s Hong Kong and Thailand action movies that have better safety standards than that one scene. And the fact that they put it on camera is crazy.
Yeah.
Like that guy has the easiest slam dunk lawsuit in the world. It is a crazy moment. It is crazy when you know what really happened. If you weren't told, you might assume that that's a dummy. because like the guy just gets knocked out of frame so fast.
Yeah, the force is unbelievable, and you can. I mean, there, in the behind the scenes for a lot of '80s movies, there's a lot of times where people say the explosion was bigger than we thought. This didn't work out the way we thought, and this is one of those examples of this explosion was way more than what it should have been for the distance where he's at between that door. It's nuts.
It starts to make sense why we do so many things with CG these days. When you look back at these movies and you're like, there were cool moments when certain of these cars are exploding, when the houses are exploding. But when something like that happens and someone clearly is injured, you're like, yeah, it's not worth it at that point.
Yeah.
It's not worth it at that point. It's just a wild moment. And I'd say, arguably, once you know the behind the scenes, the most interesting thing out of this movie.
That's true. Like
what is behind the scenes?
When you see it happen, it really draws your attention because your eye and your brain knows, like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Like that. That was crazy.
It's like you've never seen a shockwave like hit somebody like so hard and so fast. It's definitely like there's something very real and authentic about it, which is, I guess, why they included it.
Yeah.
And thank God the guy didn't die or anything. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But I think that was Canon, wasn't it? Like Canon loved doing big explosions.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that reminds me, the movie, I mentioned it earlier, but the movie ends the same way as Death Wish 3, where Chuck Norris with a bazooka blows away the main bad guy. It's the same thing that Bronson does in Death Wish 3.
It's time.
That's basically it. And then we cut to credits and the movie is over.
It ends almost as fast as, remember when we did our ninja episode and I had us watch like this really cheap Hong Kong one where there's like an explosion and it freeze frames. Yeah. It's almost that. Like the bad guy gets blown up and Chuck Norris starts to move and it just freezes on him.
Yes.
Very abrupt ending. But it's like, yes.
Was it Ninja Terminator? Was that the one?
I think so. I think it was Ninja Terminator.
We did Revenge of the Ninja. And
yes.
Yeah. The one with the Garfield phone.
Yes. Classic. The one that's still washing up on shores in France.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say any Canon movie is sort of entertaining for what it is. This is like, it probably wouldn't have taken much, in my opinion, to massage. I think you could even probably fix this in editing, because I think you could honestly ditch close to the first 20 minutes of the movie with like Richard Lynch, stealing the cocaine and selling it to maybe get drugs. Because I can just assume that he has weapons with who we know he is.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's got like these guys invading the beach, I can assume that they've got weapons. And I think that they honestly could have cut down the end, if there was any scenes at all where somebody lands a punch on Chuck Norris, I would have included that to make him seem mortal or like fallible.
By the end of the movie, like I said, he is almost like the Terminator, just walking confidently and slowly, not ducking behind cover and just shooting and murdering bad guys.
And he knows too much. He knows way too much, because not only does he show up in just the right place at just the right time for like 4 seasons in a row, folks. When he's having that fight in the office, there's a moment where he's going to go into a room that he thinks Richard Lynch is in. And then he pauses. And we know that there's 2 bad guys just on the other side. there's no indication how he figures this out. He just pauses, backs up, and shoots the wall and shoots them exactly where they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if there was some light under the door or something like that, or he heard something like really small, I'd go, oh, look at him pay attention. He just knows though. And that's a little frustrating to me when somebody just knows.
Yeah. It's almost like, did they think, are they trying to convince us that Chuck Norris is such a badass and such a trained soldier that he has like some sixth sense of like knowing where things are at? Or I don't know.
There's movies like James Bond where he can fly a plane, he can drive a car, he can shoot like a marksman, and he can martial arts fight. But he still usually gets it like caught or beaten up or something in those movies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like like Chuck Norris thought that if he got punched or shot in the leg, that it would make him look weak. I don't know. It just feels weird to me that he has no trouble at all. You know what I'm just thinking? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to bring up a completely different question for you, which is watching this and then knowing that Chuck just passed away. To me, it's like, is Chuck Norris more of just a straight up like living meme and pop culture icon type guy to the world at this point? Or I don't really hear, it's not disrespectful, but I don't really hear people talking about him as an actor really, or at like his body of work. It's more like, oh, it's Chuck Norris, that's funny. Like he became this larger than life, almost like internet meme. You mentioned Conan showing clips from Walker on his TV show. I remember Conan doing that, and it's almost like, is Chuck's body of work worth looking at? Or what?
I would say, if you're into things like 80s history, Canon films history, if you're into martial arts, guys, here's the thing. He was, I think you could argue, the first American martial arts guy. In an era where we'd gotten Bruce Lee, we were starting to get, maybe Jackie Chan and stuff like that. But he was legit the first white martial arts guy that we saw on screen. And I think it was because he did the Bruce Lee movie, but he was.
And speaking of Bruce Lee, I will shout out also John Saxon, who's in Enter the Dragon from 1973. And John was a legit trained martial artist and also a white dude. He's in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
R.I.P. John Saxon. But I mean, people could comment below, like maybe we're missing something if you guys know that kind of history. But you're right about Chuck being like, when I was a kid and I saw all the Bruce Lee movies on VHS and the movie with Chuck came on, I was like, oh, Chuck Norris as a younger guy fighting Bruce Lee. That's interesting. Like, this seems relevant and important to the history of the movie.
I think, Steven Seagal is a total joke, right? Like, there's at least 4, if not 5 of his movies from the last 20 years where he has the full fight scene completely sitting in a chair. Right. Not making that up. But how did he become a star? It's because there just really weren't that many white guy martial artists at the beginning. And he was like 1991 or something like that. That was still kind of new at the time to see a white guy know a specific kind of martial art.
Yes. And also, Chris, I think Seagal was very lucky, but he was also good at translating his particular martial art to film. Like he was able to, what was his specialty?
Aikido.
So, because I remember when we were kids, it was like, this is a different style that hasn't been done on film yet. This is a different thing. And it's like, okay, I guess, whatever.
He broke Sean Connery's wrist training him for the James Bond movie Never Say Never Again.
Oh, really?
Before he was on camera, he'd opened up some sort of Aikido school in like Los Angeles, got a producer, and the producer's like, you got to teach this to Sean Connery for his movie.
Okay.
And he was like, because Steven Seagal is like just a piece of shit that legit is known for, hitting and injuring his own stuntmen and stuff to look cool. He also did that to Sean Connery. You can watch this old interview on like Jay Leno or maybe it was Carson. I can't remember. But like, he's like, yes, this amazing man with great martial arts. He broke my arm while we were training. You're like,
damn, man,
dude,
what?
This is Sean Connery. What are you
not
thinking?
Cool. Yeah, it's not cool. So weird.
At least you never heard of anything like that. I don't know of any stories of Chuck Norris hurting somebody in like his fights.
No, and the behind the scenes stuff I saw about Chuck Norris as a man, as a person, everyone said he was a good guy, a decent guy. And one of the guys reviewing his stuff met him at like a Comic-Con, paid to get his autograph, said he was super sweet, really good guy. So, we're not talking smack with our movie review.
Not
it's
really.
Just
I didn't agree with his old man politics in his last few years, but whatever. That
right.
I can separate it enough from the actor.
Yeah.
He had a sad life too. Like, he had 2 younger brothers, and one of them died in country in Vietnam when he was really young, like 20 or 21 or something like that. And
right.
I think that like stuck with him like a good portion of his life. I think that's why he made those missing in action movies. Where he basically goes to Vietnam and retroactively wins the war.
It's like a fantasy of.
It's such a fantasy. If you think Rambo is like a fantasy, Missing in Action is a Canon film. So it takes Rambo and it's like, nope, we're going to dial that up.
Yeah. And Chris, Chuck Norris's other brother is credited as a stunt coordinator and also co-writer. So one of his brothers
Aaron
worked with him for a bit.
He gave Aaron a lot of work, I think, in basically on his own projects. But Aaron would write and do stunt stuff, and that's nice. Okay. I think he's still around because he's a younger brother. I think he's still around.
Yeah. Oh, I will say this because I want the comments to let us know.
Yeah.
All you guys out there who watch our show, let us know in the comments, what's your favorite Chuck Norris movie?
Please.
Like, what's your go-to? What are your thoughts? Because I do want to go through his catalog a bit more. I've seen a lot of his stuff, but I want to know, like, what are the go-tos? I know there was an old movie called The Octagon that has like some ninja stuff in it. That's from the very early 80s. So there's gems out there. We just chose a very big and loud Canon movie.
Because we like Canon.
Celebrate Chuck Norris, and rewatching it, my whole thought during the whole movie was, this is so stupid.
It's so dumb. But that's what we do to each other. We give each other like a bad movie that sometimes the other hasn't seen. I keep trying to torture you with The Boneyard. Maybe that'll be next.
Hey, it's your choice next. So
okay. Chuck Norris was an icon, though. He had a certain amount of charisma. I think it built over time. Time, and his acting got better by the time he could do TV. That probably helped him like stretch a little. I didn't look this up, but I would guess that his best movies were the more family-friendly ones he did in the 90s, like Sidekicks and Top Dog. But that's just a guess.
Oh, shit. That's right. I forgot about Sidekicks. Yeah.
Yeah, Sidekicks was I think the one where the kid just imagines that Chuck Norris is there to motivate him.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And
he might show up as himself at the end.
Top Dog was like Turner and Hooch, like the trope of like teaming up an actor with a dog or
a
some animal
with a dog.
Or a cop with a dog. Yeah.
This dog is annoying, but he's so good at his job.
My God. No one's going to be as charismatic as Tom Hanks in those movies, guys.
I know. Yeah. You're like, Tom Hanks. So let's do a knockoff. Who should we get that can do comedy and depth and has what we need? I don't know. Chuck Norris is free.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's wild.
This is fun though to talk about. Folks, I'd say if you like Canon, it's worth a watch. Just know that at the end, it has tons of shooting and explosions and stuff, but it kind of burns you out by the end because it doesn't mean a whole lot at the very final act. It's too bad.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's sort of it. We've probably over-explained Invasion USA, but I did have fun watching it, but
I did too.
Be your own judge, guys. we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Shall we move over to plugs?
Let's do it.
What do you have?
What do I got? Guys, check out my website is jimmafood.com. You can buy prints, comics, other goodies directly from me. Side Dimensional Rivals issue 4 will be out probably by the time this goes up. So check that out if you haven't already.
Okay, well, keep an eye out, folks. Issue 4. That's Peach. It's going to have a Peach Momoko main cover, but Jim did a huge story in it. She's curating like other artists to tell a continuous story, but with different artists. Congrats, by the way. That's awesome.
I'm excited about that one.
Has your DC project been announced or no? Is that a secret?
Not yet.
Right now? Then
Not yet.
Just keep an eye out on Jim's social media for that. And you must be somewhat close to doing your printing and fulfillment for your second Kickstarter.
We're right there. Arachnid Enforcer's done. We're tweaking a bit of the lettering and design right now. And then I'm getting proofs made from 3 different printers. I'm shopping around with printers right now. But you know, I obviously I need to get a proof before I say, yes, print a whole run of these. So
do you think that by say the October timeframe when you're doing, you know, some of the conventions, you might have some copies at your booth?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Even, and I might be doing San Diego this summer. I'm still waiting to confirm that, but New York is usually I do that one every year.
Yeah.
And, we just did, Planet Con here in Kansas City. Not as many shows for me this year, man. I have so much work I want to do in studio that.
Well, and I think you're doing a great job building your audience with the Ink Pulp. You've got Ink Pulp. You guys got any guests lined up for that you're allowed to talk about?
Who do we have? We have Mannix coming up, who's an awesome young Filipino artist.
Interesting.
A couple other people I don't want to announce, but check out Ink Pulp live on YouTube, guys. We go almost every 2 weeks, Sean Crystal and I.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you got?
Well, I think that the one thing I'd really like to mention is I'll put a link in the description below, folks. If this looks messy to you, it's because my house went through a pretty disastrous flood and I had to save some stuff by jamming it into this room. My wife and I basically had no choice, we felt, but to launch a GoFundMe. And it is going well, but honestly, any help you can give us would be helpful. We're rebuilding. It was significant damage. I won't bore you with all the details, but we could use your help if you're in a position. And then aside from that, do a regular Monday show on this channel and fully edited videos about techniques or comic book history on the YouTube channel Comic Tropes. So I'll plug those 3 things. Just released an episode about Wolverine's origins, how long they took to get to where they are. And I'm working on I think a pretty fun one about Spider-Man's wedding and the coordination and details of doing that. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. The Wolverine one was great. Dude, I still haven't read the origin book. I was one of the guys when that was announced and coming out through Marvel. I was like, I'm not going to support this. I don't want to. There shouldn't be an origin. I get it. And you even mentioned that you felt the same way in your video. And then I've come around a little because it's not that bad. Yeah, there are external factors why it might have been a good decision for Marvel to control that narrative. But yeah, watch that episode. The best thing, in my opinion, in retrospect, is honestly the colors by Richard Isanove, because they did it over penciled art, which I haven't seen a whole lot of in comics even since then. But it was really pretty looking, the colored art, the painted art. Yeah. And it's Adam Kubert, right, doing the interiors. Andy, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Kuberts. They're the guys. They're the guys. All right, folks. Hey, we had a blast. Thank you for watching this. Every time I go to a convention and sometimes even a comic book store, I know that these videos don't get watched as much as, say, the Ink Pulp or the Comic Tropes videos, but we know that we have a dedicated following because people are always stopping us and talking about it, and I love it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Please spread the word. And guys, if you're ever thinking about blowing up your local mall, just remember what Chuck Norris would do. Keep it trashy. Keep it trashy, folks. Bye.
Trash Movie Bonanza. Like and subscribe. Thank you.